In every relationship, we naturally want to feel valued, appreciated, and respected. However, there are times when a man may not have the best intentions and instead uses a woman for his own personal gain, whether it's emotional, financial, or simply for attention. This behavior can be difficult to spot at first, especially if you're emotionally invested in the connection. It's important to recognize these signs early on so you can protect your emotional well-being and avoid being taken advantage of. In today's video, we'll uncover 8 specific behaviors that may indicate a man is using you and show you how to spot them before they cause harm. We'll also incorporate wisdom from Marcus Aurelius's Stoicism to help you stay grounded and maintain emotional balance in challenging situations. If you find this video helpful, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts or experiences. Your support and feedback are crucial in helping us create more content that truly resonates with you. Chapter 1: Lack of emotional investment. One of the most telling signs that a man may be using you is a lack of emotional investment. Relationships thrive on emotional connection and mutual engagement. But if a man is not emotionally available or doesn't seem to care about your feelings, this can be a major red flag. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of emotional control and sincerity in all human interactions, especially relationships. According to Stoicism, we are meant to connect with others on a deeper, more meaningful level, not simply for our own benefit. True emotional investment comes from a place of genuine interest in another person's well-being, and it requires time, attention, and a willingness to open up. When a man is using you, he might show very little interest in how you feel. He won't ask about your day, your thoughts, or your challenges. He avoids or dismisses conversations that allow for emotional intimacy and often focuses more on superficial topics. He may be physically present, but emotionally absent. A man who genuinely cares about you will seek to understand what makes you tick, inquire about your emotional state, and try to offer support when needed. But if you're left to carry the emotional weight of the relationship, this indicates a one-sided dynamic where your emotional needs are overlooked. Stoic principles teach us to understand the value of true connection. It's not enough to simply be there for someone. Emotional engagement is a two-way street. A man who is only interested in what he can get out of you won't care about your emotional health. He might avoid vulnerability because showing genuine emotion would require him to connect with you on a deeper level. This behavior leaves you to fill the emotional gaps, often making you feel unappreciated or neglected. You'll start to notice that the more you give emotionally, the less you receive in return. An important thing to remember here is that a lack of emotional reciprocity can cause you to feel emotionally drained, questioning your worth in the process. If a man consistently fails to check in on your feelings, or if he doesn't show empathy when you need it most, he might not care about you as deeply as you care about him. Instead, he may be using you for something else, whether it's validation, comfort, or simply companionship when it's convenient for him. Emotional availability is one of the key indicators of whether someone is truly invested in you, or if they are just using you to fulfill their own needs. In Stoicism, we learn that we must be intentional about our relationships. We are encouraged to engage with others on a level that aligns with our principles of integrity and respect. This means recognizing when emotional needs are not being met and taking appropriate action to preserve our own emotional well-being. Watch for the signs. If he doesn't care about your emotions, it's a strong indication that he's not truly invested in you or your relationship, but rather in using you to fulfill his own desires. Chapter 2: He is inconsistent. Inconsistency is another clear sign that a man may be using you. In the early stages of a relationship, everything can feel magical. He's affectionate, attentive, and promises to be there for you. However, as time goes on, his behavior shifts dramatically. One day he showers you with attention and affection, making you feel like the center of his world, but the very next day, he becomes distant, cold, or non-committal. This sudden change in behavior can be confusing, leaving you wondering where you stand or why he's acting this way. But deep down, you may suspect that something isn't quite right, and this inconsistency is a major red flag. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, taught that true virtue is found in consistency of character. He believed that we should strive to align our actions with our principles, regardless of external circumstances. A man who has integrity and genuinely cares about you will show consistency in his behavior. He will act in a way that reflects his feelings and intentions consistently over time. This doesn't mean that every day will be perfect or that every moment will be filled with excitement. Real relationships have their ups and downs, but the underlying foundation of respect, care, and emotional investment should remain constant. When a man is using you, however, his behavior tends to fluctuate between extremes. One moment, he may be all in, lavishing you with affection and promises of the future. He might make you feel as if he is fully committed, offering words that suggest you're the most important person in his life. But then, without warning, he becomes emotionally distant, withdrawn, or even entirely unavailable. This inconsistency serves to keep you on edge, uncertain of where you stand or how much he truly cares. You may begin to feel like you're chasing him, trying to decode his mood, and questioning whether or not you're important to him. This kind of unpredictability is a sign that he isn't genuinely invested in the relationship. A man who truly values you will not leave you guessing or questioning his intentions. Instead, he will communicate openly, be reliable, and show up when you need him. The inconsistency comes from a deeper issue: his emotional unavailability. If a man is inconsistent, it's often because he's not truly invested in you or your well-being. His attention comes and goes as it suits him, but he doesn't put in the effort to maintain a consistent, meaningful connection. He might only be available when it's convenient for him, or when he feels the need for validation or companionship. But when you need him or expect him to show up in a reliable way, he's nowhere to be found. The Stoic approach encourages us to recognize that our peace and well-being should not be dependent on others' inconsistent behaviors. In a healthy relationship, both parties should have a sense of stability and reliability. If a man is emotionally unpredictable and inconsistent, it's a clear indication that he's using you for his own benefit, keeping you around for when it's convenient for him. Pay attention to the pattern of behavior and ask yourself if this is the kind of relationship that aligns with your values and emotional needs. Chapter 3. He prioritizes his needs over yours. One of the most telling behaviors of a man who is using you is the consistent prioritization of his needs, wants, and desires over yours. In any relationship, mutual respect and consideration are essential for a healthy balance. When one person continually places their own needs at the forefront, while neglecting or dismissing the needs of the other person, it creates a one-sided dynamic. This is a clear indication that the man is not interested in a partnership based on equality and reciprocity. Instead, he is solely focused on what he can gain from the relationship, without giving back in a meaningful way. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of self-discipline and virtue. He believed that individuals should act with integrity and prioritize what is right, not simply what they want. For him, self-control and consideration for others were at the heart of any meaningful relationship. A man who truly values you will listen to your needs and be considerate of your well-being. He will understand that relationships require balance, compromise, and emotional investment from both parties. It's not just about what one person can take from the other, but about creating a harmonious exchange of love, respect, and care. A man who is genuinely committed to you will show a willingness to meet you halfway. He will be mindful of your emotions, your desires, and your needs, ensuring that you don't feel left out or ignored. He will strive for equality in the relationship, recognizing that both partners deserve to have their needs met, even if it means making sacrifices. However, when a man is using you, the situation looks very different. His behavior revolves around his own comfort and satisfaction, with little to no regard for your needs. He may ask for your time, attention, and emotional support, but he fails to offer any in return. You might notice that he frequently expects you to drop everything to accommodate his desires, but when you need him, he's nowhere to be found. It's as if you are constantly giving, emotionally, physically, or even financially, but receiving very little in return. Over time, this pattern of behavior can feel draining, leaving you exhausted and unappreciated. You start to realize that he's taking from you without offering much, if anything, in exchange. Stoicism teaches us to act with virtue, to focus on what is right and just, rather than simply what feels good in the moment. A man who is consistently putting his needs above yours lacks that sense of virtue. He is driven by his desires and is willing to exploit the relationship for his own benefit. His actions create an unbalanced dynamic where you are left doing the emotional labor, while he takes and takes without reciprocating. This kind of behavior shows a lack of respect for your emotional health and your sense of self-worth. It's an indicator that he is using the relationship to fulfill his own needs without caring for yours. A healthy relationship should not feel like a one-way street. It should be a partnership where both individuals feel valued, supported, and understood. If you find that you are constantly sacrificing your own well-being for the sake of his desires, it's time to reevaluate the relationship. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that self-discipline and virtue are the foundation of a meaningful life. In relationships, this means ensuring that both partners' needs are acknowledged and respected, creating a balanced dynamic where both individuals thrive. If a man continually prioritizes his own needs over yours, it's a clear sign that he may be using you, and it's essential to reassess the situation to protect your emotional and mental well-being. Chapter 4. Avoidance of future talk. One of the clearest signs that a man may be using you is his avoidance of conversations about the future. Relationships require a level of commitment and a willingness to plan ahead. But if a man consistently deflects discussions about long-term goals, future plans, or the direction of the relationship, it's often an indication that he is not serious about you. He might be content with the present moment, enjoying the benefits of the relationship as long as they serve his needs, but he has no intention of making any real commitments. This behavior creates uncertainty and leaves you wondering where you truly stand in his life. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, taught us to focus on what we can control and commit to the things that align with our principles. In his Meditations, he emphasized that we should live in accordance with our values and beliefs and act with purpose in all areas of life. A man who avoids planning for the future or discussing where the relationship is headed is demonstrating a lack of purpose and commitment. He might be hesitant to acknowledge the potential for a long-term connection because at the end of the day, he's not invested in it. His intentions are short-term, and he is likely focused on enjoying the moment without considering the future. If he is avoiding conversations about the future, it's important to recognize that he may not be interested in building something lasting with you. This is especially true if you've expressed your desire to discuss the future of the relationship and he continuously changes the subject or brushes it off. A man who genuinely cares about you and values your connection will be willing to engage in these conversations, even if the future is uncertain. He will at least be open to discussing the possibility of what lies ahead, acknowledging that a relationship takes time, effort, and planning to grow. When he avoids these conversations altogether, it's a red flag that he is only interested in enjoying the present without making any promises or commitments. This behavior not only shows a lack of investment in the relationship, but it also leaves you feeling uncertain and unimportant. You may begin to question whether he sees a future with you or if he's just using you for the time being. Relationships should not be a guessing game. You deserve clarity and transparency, especially when it comes to something as important as the future. If he avoids these conversations, it's a sign that he doesn't value the relationship enough to discuss its potential or plan for what's next. The Stoic approach encourages us to focus on what is within our control, our actions, our values, and our commitments. A man who avoids future talk is not willing to take responsibility for his role in the relationship or plan for the future. He may not be ready to make the same level of commitment you are, and that's something to take seriously. If you're in a relationship where future discussions are consistently avoided, it may be time to evaluate the situation and decide whether this dynamic aligns with your values and long-term goals. A true partnership requires both individuals to be equally invested in what lies ahead, and if he is unwilling to participate in this, it may be a sign that he is using the relationship for his own benefit in the present, without regard for what comes next. Chapter 5. He gives empty compliments. One of the more subtle yet telling signs that a man is using you is when his compliments feel empty, meaning they are shallow, insincere, or disconnected from any genuine appreciation. While compliments in a relationship are natural and can make you feel valued, when they come from a man who is using you, they are often designed to manipulate or maintain your attention without any real intention behind them. He may praise your looks, your intelligence, or your personality, but these compliments often feel surface level, almost robotic, and seem to be given in a way that doesn't truly reflect his actions toward you. This behavior can be incredibly confusing, especially when it's paired with a lack of follow-through on those compliments. You begin to wonder if he truly values who you are, or if his words are simply a tactic to keep you engaged, while his actions do little to reflect his so-called admiration. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, often emphasized that words should be aligned with actions. For him, integrity and authenticity were the cornerstone of both personal character and relationships. If someone says one thing, but their actions say another, it reveals a lack of congruence between what they claim and what they actually do. The Stoic approach teaches that real value in any relationship comes from meaningful effort, actions that support the words spoken. If a man repeatedly compliments you, but his behavior shows no true respect or appreciation for your time, emotions, or effort, then those compliments are nothing more than a superficial means of gaining your trust and affection. In essence, he uses words as a tool to manipulate you into thinking he cares, even when his actions reveal the opposite. A man who is using you for his benefit will often rely on empty compliments to keep you emotionally invested. He may tell you how amazing you are, how beautiful you look, or how smart you are. But these compliments won't come with any effort to demonstrate that he truly values these qualities in you. He may fail to take the time to get to know you on a deeper level, or he may never show any real interest in what makes you unique. Complimenting you is a way to keep the surface-level connection intact while avoiding the deeper work required to build a genuine relationship. In fact, when someone compliments you too often but fails to show up in the ways that matter, through actions that align with respect, honesty, and genuine care, It's a clear sign that the words are being used to keep you engaged, not to truly value or appreciate you. Another key point to consider is that these empty compliments are often used as a way to avoid deeper intimacy or vulnerability. When a man uses compliments in this way, it's because he doesn't want to make himself emotionally vulnerable or commit to anything meaningful. Instead of investing emotionally, he resorts to flattering you to maintain control over the relationship. Compliments are a way to keep you hooked, to keep you feeling good about yourself while maintaining distance. This leaves you questioning the authenticity of his feelings. Are his words truly reflective of how he feels, or are they just another tool in his manipulation playbook? In a healthy relationship, compliments are backed up by actions. A man who genuinely cares about you will express his appreciation not only through kind words, but through meaningful gestures, support, and respect. He will show that he values you by putting in the effort to nurture the relationship and align his behavior with his praise. If his compliments don't translate into actions, and instead feel like hollow words meant to flatter you into staying, it's time to recognize this for what it is: manipulation. Stoicism teaches us to stay grounded in truth and integrity, and to judge people not by their words, but by their deeds. If a man consistently offers empty compliments without backing them up with actions that show real respect, it's a sign that he may be using you for his own benefit, rather than investing in a true and meaningful connection. Chapter 6. He takes more than he gives. In any healthy relationship, the principle of mutual contribution is vital. Both partners should give and receive, offering their time, emotional energy, and support to one another in equal measure. However, when a man is using you, he will consistently take more than he gives, leaving you with little in return. This imbalance often manifests in various ways, whether it's demanding your time without considering your own needs, leaning on you emotionally without offering the same support, or taking advantage of your resources while showing little interest in reciprocating. The result of this one-sided dynamic is that you end up feeling emotionally drained, exhausted, and depleted, without receiving the same level of care or attention in return. What was once a source of joy and connection can quickly become a drain, leaving you with nothing but empty efforts and a sense of resentment. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, often emphasized the importance of self-sufficiency and balance in life. He believed that in all areas of existence, be it relationships, work, or personal endeavors, individuals should maintain harmony and moderation. Stoicism teaches us to offer what we can in good faith, but also to preserve our own energy, boundaries, and well-being. A balanced relationship should not leave one partner feeling used or depleted, but rather nourished and supported by the efforts of both individuals. When one person constantly takes without giving, it disturbs the equilibrium of the relationship, creating an unhealthy dynamic that ultimately harms both parties. A man who is using you will make you feel like you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, giving more than you're receiving, and without the hope of ever getting anything back. This may initially seem subtle. He may ask for your time or support, express his needs, and even make you feel like you're the most important person in his life. But over time, you'll notice that his demands increase and his contributions decrease. He may expect you to sacrifice your own plans, energy, or emotional well-being to meet his needs, but when it's your turn to ask for the same, he'll often be unavailable, uninterested, or reluctant to provide the support you need. This can create a vicious cycle where you continually give and he continually takes, until eventually you're left with nothing. A key aspect of this dynamic is that the man who is using you will often not recognize or care about your emotional or physical limits. He might continue to ask for more without considering the toll it's taking on you. He may not acknowledge the imbalance because to him, It is not about creating a reciprocal, healthy relationship. It's about taking advantage of your willingness to give. This behavior may also manifest in emotional ways. He might demand your time and attention when it's convenient for him, but withdraw or shut down when you need his support, making you feel like an afterthought rather than a priority. Stoic principles urge us to maintain self-respect and boundaries. They encourage us to give, but also to recognize when we're being drained or taken advantage of. Giving without receiving can leave you feeling like you're sacrificing yourself for the sake of someone else's comfort. While the Stoic philosophy doesn't advocate for selfishness or emotional detachment, it does emphasize the importance of emotional self-sufficiency. It teaches us that a healthy relationship should not come at the cost of your own well-being. In fact, true giving can only occur when you are not constantly depleting yourself in the process. If you feel like you're always the one making sacrifices and he's the one constantly taking, it's time to evaluate the relationship. Healthy relationships are partnerships, and both partners should contribute to the emotional, mental, and physical needs of the other. A man who is genuinely interested in you will not deplete you. He will lift you up, provide support, and offer love and care in return. On the other hand, a man who is using you will focus primarily on his own needs and desires, leaving you to give more and more while he gives less and less. This pattern of imbalance can wear you down, leaving you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. In this context, Stoicism teaches us to value our own well-being and to recognize when a relationship is no longer serving us. If you find yourself constantly giving without receiving, remember that you deserve a partnership where both individuals contribute equally, emotionally, and practically. Protect your energy, set clear boundaries, and don't be afraid to recognize when a relationship is no longer healthy for you. By doing so, you honor yourself and the Stoic principle of balance, living in accordance with what you can offer, while also safeguarding your own peace and emotional health. Chapter 7. He pushes boundaries. Boundaries are fundamental to healthy, respectful relationships. They serve as the lines that define our emotional, physical, and psychological space. When both partners honor these boundaries, trust and mutual respect thrive. However, when a man is using you, he will often push, test, or completely disregard these boundaries. This is not only disrespectful, but it's also a clear sign that he is not considering your emotional or personal well-being, focusing only on his needs and desires. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often spoke about the importance of self-control and discipline in all aspects of life. His teachings encourage us to build and maintain our values, making sure that we act with integrity, regardless of external pressures. One of the most important aspects of this self-discipline is maintaining boundaries that safeguard our emotional health. For Stoics, respecting boundaries is not merely a personal preference. It's a moral imperative. In a healthy relationship, each partner should honor the other's emotional space, never pushing for things they are not ready for or demanding actions that don't align with their comfort or values. A man who is using you, however, doesn't respect these boundaries. Instead, he will frequently push or try to breach them, whether intentionally or through manipulation. This might appear as subtle coercion, where he pressures you into doing something you're uncomfortable with. For example, he might try to convince you to be physically intimate before you're ready, or emotionally manipulate you into prioritizing his needs over yours. This type of behavior often starts with small, seemingly harmless requests, but over time, it becomes a repeated pattern that wears down your emotional resilience. The Stoic mindset teaches us to maintain our integrity and emotional fortitude in the face of such challenges. When a man pushes your boundaries, it is crucial to remember that you are in control of your own emotional and physical space. No one has the right to invade that space without your consent, and no amount of emotional manipulation should make you feel obligated to comply. In these situations, it's important to remind yourself that true love and connection are rooted in mutual respect, not in one person pressuring the other to cross boundaries for their own benefit. When a man continuously disregards your boundaries, it shows a lack of respect for your autonomy and emotional well-being. This could manifest in a variety of ways, such as ignoring your requests for personal space, disregarding your opinions, or pressuring you into making decisions that you are not comfortable with. The manipulation can be subtle at first, but it gradually escalates. He may use guilt, anger, or silence to make you feel that your boundaries are unreasonable, causing you to second-guess your instincts and become more pliable to his demands. In a healthy relationship, boundaries should be respected and protected by both partners. If someone is using you, their approach to boundaries will likely involve constant testing or even breaking them without concern for your feelings. This is not love, it's control. The moment you notice this behavior, it's important to reevaluate the relationship and recognize that your emotional and physical well-being should always come first. By applying the Stoic principles of self-discipline and emotional control, you can maintain the strength to assert your boundaries clearly and consistently. If a man truly respects you, he will recognize and honor your boundaries, never trying to push or manipulate you into crossing them. A relationship built on mutual respect will have the space for both partners to express their needs, desires, and limits openly. If that respect is absent, it is time to step back and consider whether this relationship is truly healthy for you. Ultimately, if a man is continuously pushing your boundaries, it is a clear indication that the relationship is unbalanced. It's time to protect your emotional integrity and make decisions that prioritize your well-being. Don't allow someone to manipulate you into compromising your values or comfort. True strength lies in respecting yourself enough to maintain those boundaries and, when necessary, to walk away from relationships that undermine your self-worth. Chapter 8. He makes you feel inadequate or guilty. One of the most damaging behaviors a man can exhibit when using a woman is making her feel inadequate or guilty for not doing more. This subtle manipulation tactic can be highly effective, as it plays on a person's insecurities and emotional vulnerabilities. A man who is using you will often project his unmet needs onto you, making you feel as though you are the one failing to meet his expectations. This might not always be an overt accusation, but a constant, insidious implication that you aren't doing enough, or that you're somehow falling short of what he deserves. Over time, these subtle messages can erode your confidence and self-worth, leaving you in a perpetual state of guilt and emotional indebtedness. Marcus Aurelius, in his teachings, emphasized the importance of self-awareness and emotional resilience. He believed that a wise individual should never allow others to dictate their sense of self-worth. In relationships, this Stoic principle is crucial. Your value should not be contingent upon constantly meeting someone else's demands or standards. A man who respects you will never seek to diminish your self-esteem in order to make you feel guilty for simply being who you are. Instead, he will appreciate your presence, your individuality, and will never make you feel as though you're insufficient for not meeting his every need. However, when a man is using you, he will often turn the situation around to make you believe that it's your responsibility to fulfill his emotional or physical desires, and that your failure to do so is a personal shortcoming. This can manifest in various ways, such as passive-aggressive comments, guilt-tripping you for not giving more time, energy, or attention, or even framing your natural need for space or independence as a failure to care about him. These tactics are designed to make you question your own worth, making you feel like you owe him something you aren't able or willing to give. In relationships, it's natural for partners to sometimes have unmet needs or desires, but a respectful, caring partner will communicate openly and without blame. He will express his feelings and needs, but he will also recognize that both parties are human and imperfect. In contrast, a man who uses you will often blur the line between healthy communication and manipulation. His complaints will not be aimed at working through issues in a mature way. Instead, they will be crafted to induce guilt or shame, making you feel responsible for things that are beyond your control. This kind of emotional manipulation can be incredibly damaging because it makes you doubt your actions and decisions. If you find yourself constantly second-guessing whether you are doing enough in the relationship, or if you feel like you're walking on eggshells to avoid making him upset, it's a clear sign that the balance in the relationship is skewed. A healthy relationship is one where both partners feel supported and appreciated, not one where you are made to feel as if you are perpetually failing or lacking. The Stoic mindset encourages us to focus on what we can control and to let go of what we cannot. You cannot control how someone else feels or how they try to manipulate you, but you can control your own responses. If you're consistently feeling inadequate or guilty, take a step back and reflect on the relationship dynamics. Ask yourself whether this is truly a relationship of mutual respect, or if you're constantly giving without receiving emotional validation or support. Ultimately, a man who respects you will uplift you, not tear you down. He will appreciate your efforts without trying to make you feel guilty for not doing more. If you notice a recurring pattern of guilt tripping and emotional manipulation, it's crucial to reassess the relationship. Remember that you are not responsible for someone else's happiness or emotional state, and you deserve to be in a partnership where you feel valued and respected for who you are, not for how much you can give. In relationships, it's essential to recognize when you're being used rather than genuinely valued. The 8 behaviors we've explored today are key red flags that can help you spot manipulation and protect your emotional well-being. Drawing on Marcus Aurelius's Stoic teachings, we learn the importance of maintaining emotional balance, staying true to our values, and always remembering our worth. A healthy relationship is one where both partners equally contribute, respect each other's needs, and uplift each other. If you've noticed these behaviors in your relationship, it's time to take a step back, reflect on your emotions, and reassess what's truly best for you moving forward. If this video resonated with you or helped you gain clarity, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Your thoughts and experiences are valuable and can help others who may be going through similar situations. Thanks for watching. Stay grounded, stay strong, and always remember your value.